Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Legendary Leaders. I am your host, Katrina Jameson. I'm the founder of Legend Leaders, where we arm business leaders with the strategies they need to live life on their terms, a legendary life. It's the second week of September. We are focused on embracing your too much characteristics. We kicked it off last week. If you didn't listen to last week's episode and learn how to embrace that nature within you, please go back and listen to it. It is fantastic, and I want you to have that outlook. I want you to change your view on some of those things that maybe someone has already told you you are too much. Okay? All right, today, let's go ahead and kick this off. Today, we are talking about asking the right questions. Lots of times when we get feedback, when we're sitting in an evaluation or we're sitting in a touch base, primarily with our supervisors, especially in the corporate world, right? It's a little different whenever we run our own business. If you're running your own business, this could be an investor. It could be the board, if you have a board that helps you, run your business. Whatever the case may be, look at it through the lens that applies to you. But if you're in the corporate world specifically, that's the path I'm going to take. You're sitting with your supervisor, they're giving you feedback about how things are going, and suddenly they give you some feedback that sounds something like, hey, let me give you a little bit of advice, or let me tell you something because I really want to help you succeed. We're all ears, right? Why? We respect that person. We are open to feedback always because we've learned that. And they have a position of power and authority, and so we think they have our best interests at heart. We want to learn. We want to be better. They're going to guide us down the right path. I'm open. Give it to me. Well, that's where we could run into problems because we're so open, we're not ready to actually question the feedback. And so that's what we're going to dive into today. Now, let's go back to when we were kids. All right, depending upon how old you are, if you're my age, it may take you a little longer to go back in that memory. You've got a few more years than some other folks to go back into your memory and think about being a kid. But if you remember being a kid playing kickball or soccer or any of the sports that you would play, either in your neighborhood or let's say in elementary or even middle school, think about those times. Well, inherently, there was always someone who was the best, okay? And then there was always someone who wasn't quite as good, who took it very personally that they weren't the best, that they weren't even average. Maybe they were the worst. And so you know those individuals. You're probably thinking of someone right now that you've interacted with when you were a kid, and they would get so frustrated with the person who was the best. And when they would get frustrated with that person, they would say things to them like, I don't like you. You cheated. It's not fair. Or, does your mom let you do that? It'd be something to attack who they are, what they did. Could even be something about their mom, right? Could have been all three of those things and more. All of those things would happen, and the person who wasn't quite as good at whatever sport you were playing or doing, that would be the individual who would, throw those quotes, those insults, those daggers at that individual. Now, you could have been the individual that wasn't as good. You could have also been the individual who was the best. You could have been someone on the sidelines watching all of this. It doesn't matter. The point is that you understand the story that I'm telling you because you've lived it from some perspective. Now, kids did that. Now, unfortunately, sometimes adults still do some of those things. But the point that I'm trying to make is that we know what happens when someone sees someone else doing a better job. They start to feel inferior, and what they try to do is break that other person down. They try to especially tell the other person that they're not as great as they think they are in a certain area. Now, it could be the area of the sport or the event or whatever you were doing, or it could be another area in their lives, right? Oh, you're great at kickball, but you don't have as many friends as I do. Right? You remember those things? Well, what I want you to realize is that while your supervisor or the board or a peer, someone who says that they care about you and who also has authority, okay, because friends have authority, but especially in the corporate world and the business world, there are levels and layers of authority. When someone comes and says, I want to give you feedback because I care about you, I want you to question that. And I don't mean disrespectfully, and I don't mean verbally yet. I'm going to teach you how to do it verbally. What I want you to be prepared for is if you're embracing your too much characteristics, your nature that is you, and you're prepared to just own it, then when someone comes with authority and says, hey, I want to give you some feedback to help you succeed, and they tell you that you're too much at something, that you need to dial it back, that you need to stop doing X, Y, Z, the first thing I want you to do is don't just bow down to them because they have authority. What I want you to realize is this very well could be the similar situation that you experienced as a kid. They could be feeling inferior. Now, I'm not saying that's the case, but it's a possibility. Right now, the way that we typically approach this is, oh, they've got feedback for us. I must listen. They have authority. They've done this longer than me, or they see things that I can't see. It's probably a blind spot. And we start giving them all this extra authority over our lives. And if they really do care about us, then you can absolutely have the dialogue, and they'll help you maybe adjust in certain situations to use your too much characteristics in an even better way. That's what someone who cares about you will do for you. But what you have to be able to do is you have to at least be able to question their intentions. Because even people who care about us will do selfish things. They're human after all, okay? So, when someone comes to you and they say, I have some feedback for you. I want to help you succeed. I still want you to ask for the feedback. Don't not ask for it, ask for it. But I want you to prepare your mind. I want you to prepare yourself for the fact that it could be that they just are the weaker kickball player and you are the best. And they're coming to you giving you feedback because they want to bring you down to their level. They're feeling scared. They're worried. They're afraid because you're better than them. Now, not all leaders are this way, but some of them are. And it's hard to discern. But this is how you're going to do it. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to embrace who you are. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to ask for the feedback, but you're prepared mentally that it may not be feedback for you. It may be that you need to say in your mind, is this really my problem that I need to fix? Or is it really just them identifying a weakness they have within themselves? It's not their strength, it's mine. And because it's my strength that they don't have, they're asking me to tone it down. When in reality, what I could do is actually help them strengthen this area of their leadership. See how that works? If you're open to questioning their intention, okay, right out of the gate, then what you can do is instead of dampening your spirit, your talent, your gifts, you can look at it and actually ask the honest question to see their intention. And if it's a weakness they have, you can help them be better. Instead of losing who you are, you become better. And so I want you to ask questions. That's how you're going to find the answer. And so the way that you do this, you just say, hey, thank you for the feedback. Tell me more. Give me some examples of where I'm doing this so that I can understand the feedback that you're giving me. Okay, that's the key thing. If they cannot give you any clear examples, or they give you examples that are surface level, that you can't really see that there's an issue, they perceive it as an issue. They are internalizing it as an issue. But there's no problem, then that's probably their weakness. Okay? If they can't give you any strength, any strong feedback about, you're damaging this over here, if you're watching this group, they're being shut down by your approach, what I want to recommend that you do is you speak a little this way. This will get them engaged. This will get them on the right path with you, and you'll be able to move the business forward. That's good feedback. They're seeing things that you're missing. So you ask the question, and they're very specific about what they're seeing in a group or a response or whatever the case may be. And they're giving you advice on how to tweak it just a little bit. Not changing who you are, but a little bit of a pivot. Okay? Hey, here's a great example. Hey, Katrina, you are super fast at solving problems. You solve them faster than anyone else. And so as we sit in a war room situation and you're in the room and we're going through the issues, you're the first one that comes up with a solution. You present it and we're off getting it done. I love that you bring those solutions to the table. But what I'm going to ask you to do is I don't want you to be the first person to speak. Not because I don't want you to have the solutions. I want you to keep thinking about it. But I'm trying to train Jim over here. And he doesn't have a lot of confidence in this area. He just got promoted. And so what I'd like to do is I want you to give him a chance, just for the next 4 weeks, I want you to give him a chance to be a little uncomfortable. Let's see if he can step up. Let's see if he can rise to the challenge and he can speak up and learn how you do what you do. That's great feedback because, again, that's not about you. That's about helping Jim. But if you have someone who just comes to you and says, you solve problems too quickly, I need you to stop talking so much in these war room situations, the first thought is, oh my gosh, something's wrong with me. I'm not the problem solver I need to be. I'm obviously offending this person. But if you ask questions, then you're understanding that you can actually help Jim, that you can actually teach Jim your strength. But if you never ask the question, you're going to see it as a flaw. So again, embrace who you are, embrace your gifts, ask questions to understand why this person wants you to change or what you need to adjust in order to succeed, okay? They can give you clear feedback that makes sense to you, that has nothing to do with dampening who you are. Think through that. If it's a weakness that they've identified in themselves, you're going to see that very clearly because it's going to be surface feedback that you can't do too much with. And then you can confidently move forward and help them actually grow in that area. Okay? But you can't do any of that if you just take the feedback, internalize it, and think something is wrong with you. Because I assure you, 99% of the time, there's nothing wrong with you. Now, if you're walking around like, I am the best kickball player, and I am amazing, and you just need to part out of my way because I am just the best thing since, sliced bread, then that's a problem. But if you're humbly but confidently owning who you are, there's a difference there. Okay? So if you can confidently say that you're walking in with a humble attitude but confident, it's usually not you. It's someone they're trying to help grow. It's a weakness they have within themselves. Or there's a little tweak that they're teaching you to help still be you, but just take yourself to the next level. All three of which are things you need to know because you have to discern which one it is so that then you can react. Don't just take it at face value. Digest it, ask questions, then respond accordingly. That's how you will be able to thrive in that environment. And that's your challenge. Go and be legendary.